You know, it's actually insane what's been happening right now with basically the entire planet trying to go up against the smallest little Washington-based company in video games right now. Basically, Valve. This company has been going up against payment processors, legislators, lawmakers, and even massive governments going around and trying to force real identification onto every single user, beating lawsuit after lawsuit and getting new ones on top of that, all at the same time trying to go through and provide a good service for their customers and even their users. But I want to be incredibly transparent about today's video. If you're somebody that games on PC, this video will absolutely impact you. If you're someone who games on console, surprise, this is also going to impact you. And worst case of all, if you are a mobile gamer, this video will 100% be about you as well. And the reason why I say that is this. It seems to me that Valve and Steam are the only company really stepping ahead and doing whatever they can to protect your anonymity online and also provide you a better experience overall. So regardless of whatever platform you play on, you're going to want Valve to win, especially with what we talk about later on in today's video. But for right now though, it looks like Valve may have caught a massive W overall. Do you guys remember about a couple of weeks back, we talked about two specific lawsuits that were being placed in front of Valve, basically talking about CSGO skins and loot boxes? Yeah, remember that entire thing? One in Washington State, the other one in New York State. And what made things even funnier was when I was able to figure out that both lawsuits used the exact same pictures, practically the exact same verbiage, and what I would consider to be literal collusion in the space to sue Valve directly. All the while trying to use CSGO loot boxes and microtransactions as a literal cover-up of what they really wanted Valve to do, which is to collect your real identification and to go ahead and have that information to protect the kids, when in reality, we know exactly what's going on. There is no child protection happening here. It is literally the government trying to force companies to obtain those IDs from their users and then pass them on to obtain that information and create profiles on you. We've seen the exact same thing happen as well. Discord is still going through with it, and so many others too. But the thing is, it turns out that not only are those lawsuits pretty much bullshit, opinion, it looks like one of those lawsuits from the state of New York may not in fact be moving forward anytime soon. Because according to skins.com, New York Attorney General Letitia James, who is suing Valve, is being referred for criminal prosecution over alleged homeowners insurance fraud. Oh yeah, that's right, baby. Valve again is doing nothing and absolutely winning. Look, I gotta be honest about this. If you're someone that is going around and committing homeowners insurance fraud, why are you even, as a legislator, what are you even doing right now in the government itself? That is a massive red flag overall, and really just tells me Letitia James may have been nothing more than an actual patsy of what's been happening right now and just simply being used to throw more lawsuits at Valve and Steam in order to have real identification being placed onto that platform. And when you think about it, when you look at what other governments and companies are seeing, it makes sense why they're trying to force Valve and push them into every single direction of what they want to do and use a platform like Steam to their own benefit. Take a look at this. According to Tech Power Up, Steam has broken its concurrent player count record for a second time in 4 months, with 42,318,602 users online and active at the exact same time. That is a massive amount of users that companies, legislators, and payment processors want access to. And Valve is basically stopping them and saying, no. You're not going to get their IDs, you're not going to get their profiles, you're not going to get their information because the anonymity of these users is more important to Valve than actually going around and handing that information over. And sadly, too many other companies are falling for this literal grift by these legislators and even other payment processing companies as well. Discord is falling for it, Xbox is falling for it, and so many others on top of that. The problem is, though, it may be at the point right now that Valve may not even in fact have a choice, because the thing is, even with Steam and Valve doing everything they can by basically doing nothing and protecting you, it looks like things may be going down a different route altogether. Because a month ago, PC Gamer posted this. A new California law says all operating systems, including Linux, need to have some form of age verification at account setup. Now you're probably thinking, Alex, that was last month. Why are we talking about this now? Well, apparently though, it's going to be impacting everybody, and some of it has actually already gotten into effect, not only with other operating systems like Windows and even Mac, but it looks like it's also impacting Linux as well. And what operating system does Valve use for their SteamOS on their Steam Deck and Steam Machine? SteamOS, which is a fork of Linux as well. Clearly, this is going to be impacting them directly, and watching as governments are passing laws and mandating things over and over again really is a massive concerning part. It also goes to show that we're seeing other companies online fall in line with what's been happening. And one of the scariest parts about all of this is it looks like the front page of the internet may in fact be falling down quicker than you think. Because according to International Cyber Digest, breaking, Reddit's CEO has announced he is forcing human verification on the platform. He will force users to verify through biometrics on their device, a third party, or a government ID. Every single option compromises your anonymity on a platform built on anonymity. That's right, we are going to hell in a handbasket faster than you can wag a finger at a dog. Look, it's going to be really insane. The fact that now we're seeing Reddit, of all places, try to go through and force verification of IDs, especially because their excuse really makes no sense whatsoever. A website dedicated for anonymity is now trying to force identification to stop the bots. That's pretty much what they're trying to say, and it really goes against the grain of everything that is happening on the internet. We're seeing websites fall to this. We're seeing other console makers fall to this, and we're also going to be seeing other operating systems fall to this as well. But there's more to the article, so let's go from there. According to Yahoo Finance, Reddit is rolling out new identity verification features aimed at confirming users are human while maintaining user privacy. The changes include mandatory age checks in some regions, optional, quote, verified profiles, and the potential use of biometric tools such as Face ID to help distinguish people from automated accounts. Reddit says any verification system will protect user anonymity. Options being explored include passkeys and third-party services that can confirm an account is human without revealing a user's identity. In some countries, government-mandated ID checks may be required, but Reddit aims to prevent the platform from seeing personal ID information. And here's where things are going to get really sticky. We're going to be seeing legislators, lawmakers, websites, and even operating system owners and users have to be forced to use a government ID in order to verify they're actually human. You see, the whole point about AI online isn't about generating funny cat videos or pictures. No, or Will Smith eating spaghetti. No, not at all. You see, what they're trying to do right now is, as I put on my tinfoil hat, is basically flood the internet with bots. And by doing so, no one truly knows if they're interacting with an actual person or an AI-generated Claude bot. And this is where their plan all comes together. You see, by forcing these bots online and putting everybody at risk of having misinformation being spread, the only way to verify if you're an actual person is to have your digital ID be given to these companies and corporations, and even at the operating system level. And that is where things get incredibly scary. Want to use Windows? They need your ID. Want to use your iPhone? It needs your ID. Want to check the weather? Guess what? Give them your ID. Want to play a video game? They're going to need that ID too, baby. And that's exactly what's been happening right now. And it goes to show how insanely ludicrous every company, whether it's online or offline, is trying to go ahead and get this information. Because for some reason, they really, really want that ID. Isn't it kind of weird when you think about it? Because when you think about it, why on earth would the government who gives you your ID want your ID when you're trying to use anything online and be anonymous? It's almost like they're trying to build a profile on you and track your every single move. Don't believe me? Reclaim the Net on Twitter posted this. Apple is forcing UK iPhone age checks in iOS 26.4. Remember when I said that these companies are going down to an operating system level and deciding whether or not you need to give them your ID to use that product? Well, there it is, literally right in front of you. The newest iOS update is now forcing UK residents to input their ID to use their phone, which means they've already built a profile on you, which they've honestly already had. But the thing is, now they can tie it to your literal government identification. Say something naughty online, they know it's you. Say something that they don't like, guess what? They know it's you. Do you want to play Goddess of Nikkei? Dump a couple of bucks into getting some pretty good skins? Guess what? They know it's you too. That's exactly why they're doing this. And the problem is, it's at an operating system level. It's not via app. It's not anything else. It is in the core of the device itself and the usability of that device. And it impacts everybody. Now imagine all of this happening online and during all of your gaming sessions. Want to play on your Xbox? Give them your ID. PlayStation, GTA 6, give them that sweet, sweet ID. Want to play on your Nintendo Switch too? They're going to need that ID as well. Want to play Counter-Strike? Don't say any naughty words during halftime. They're going to know exactly who you are and have your ID as well. And clearly, this is a massive problem because even though that article from PC Gamer was simply just a month ago, it's impacting everybody right now. And even Linux distros aren't safe either. Liam Proven on Twitter says this: age checks creep into Linux as Systemd gets a date of birth field. The Flatpak may be next, and the lobbying behind it is raising eyebrows. With the Register's article saying this: after weeks of debate, code to record user age was finally merged into the Linux world's favorite system management daemon. Pull request number 40954 to the Systemd project is titled UserDB Add Birth Date Field to JSON User Records. It's a new function for the existing UserDB service, which adds a field to hold the user's date of birth. The contents of the field will be protected from modification, except by users with root privileges. The change comes after the recent release of Systemd 260, but unless it's reverted for some reason, it will be part of Systemd 261. One of the justifications is to facilitate the new parental controls in Flatpak, which are still in the draft stage. Now, some of this may have gone over your heads, especially if you aren't deep into Linux. Now, me, I'm not super deep into it, but I can give you a pretty surface level understanding. Flatpak is basically just, I would consider to be the app store of Linux. Pretty much you can get any sort of piece of software as a Flatpak device without having to go through and have the entire Linux code base thing that everybody likes to use on console. That's pretty much what it is. Just a very layman's term about it. I'm sure it's going to be wrong by Linux bros in the comment section, but hey, cut me some slack, okay? I'm still new to this whole thing. But basically what's been happening is we're seeing massive amounts of Linux distros, even though there are quite a few of them, having to go through and start requiring some sort of date of birth identification that is only available to be put into that one time and not being able to be modified unless you have access to the root itself of the operating system. Basically meaning everything you use, even if it's on Linux, is a complete and total brick. And then having to put in your date of birth. And this is just simply the first step. Again, this completely impacts Steam, the Steam machine, and everything else across the board, as now what they're trying to do is to actually approach operating systems as well to force some sort of control. Valve is fighting this war on every single front, whether it's in front of lawsuits, whether it's in front of payment processors, whether now it's actually the government in the UK, or on top of that, now they're actually attacking the literal operating system that Valve is using for Steam OS and their other devices moving forward. This is more than likely one of the absolute worst things I've ever seen. But the thing is this, if you are someone that's trying to get into Linux in the first place, or you're thinking about moving to Linux and you're concerned about this age identification, don't worry. There's a website called Ageless Linux, which is now documenting in great detail what every single distro has been saying concerning age identification on their distros as well. They've marked it down whether or not they are watching it, whether or not the company has been silent, or if they've merged and taken over and adding age identification into their distros on top of that. So if you want to take a look, that's a pretty good repository. If you have other ideas in the comment section of other places to check, definitely let people know as well. But the thing is, though, we all know this is 100% complete bullshit. Every time these companies go around and force Real ID, what happens? Things get hacked, companies lose your information, or it was never secure in the first place. And then it gets spread online for everybody else to go around and even use it to dox you as well. Persona got hacked. Discord got hacked. IDs flooded everywhere. But the thing is, though, it's not just companies. It turns out governments are also getting hacked and losing IDs as well. According to Stop Common Pass on Twitter, Bank ID is Sweden's de facto national digital ID-based system used across 7,500 services, including government. A severe data breach has been confirmed, with hackers claiming they pulled source code, user data, and internal system data as well. So not only are companies like Discord and Persona getting hacked, now we've got literal governments being claimed to be hacked as well, losing all that personal information and having it being spread online. This is exactly what so many people do not want and why real identification does not work. Attacking Valve and attacking Steam, trying to force them into Real ID simply because they don't want to play ball, is exactly the biggest problem of all of this, even though Valve has found very smart ways of getting around the entire thing. And now, to make things worse, governments and legislators are now pushing for things on an operating system level as well, which impacts you. So imagine if every single piece of technology that you use that has an OS now requires your ID. Consoles, phones, PCs, laptops, everything across the board. It's not good for you as a user and doesn't help you in any sense of the word and puts you at risk, which is why you should not be happy this is happening. With H1B's Nuts on Twitter saying this, their plan is to push online ID verification as far as SCOTUS will allow. Have a generation grow up where uploading ID online is normal sometimes, and try again when ID verification is normalized. They are denormalizing online anonymity. And that is exactly what legislators, lawmakers, and everybody else on the back end with every other major tech company is in fact trying to do. Destigmatize giving your ID to these companies. They want the access. They want to build that profile. They want to put everything together and then create better ways of selling all of your data, tracking what you say, what you do online, who you are, and then taking that info and selling it to the highest bidder, or even just selling it at all, making all the money they can on the back end, even though they already have those profiles built on you specifically. They just want to attach your ID, your photo, your picture, and everything else, removing all anonymity online. And that is incredibly terrifying in every sense. Then they also want to do it with your video games, and that is even scarier. And at the same time, Metal Gear Solid 2 is not supposed to be a manual, Raiden! If you haven't seen the speech by GW, give yourself 9 minutes and see how 25 years ago, Kojima was literally ahead of the curve as to what AI and the internet would impact in the entire planet. Literally, just go ahead, fall into a dystopian night that everybody saw when they were like 17 or 18 years old 25 years ago, and just think to themselves, holy crap, what happened? But if Valve sticks up and they fight against this, if they literally do their classic motto of doing nothing and winning, it could really push against everything that the legislators, payment processors, and the governments are trying to push forward. They've had to make some concessions about payment processors, absolutely. But the problem is it's going to get into a bigger fight than what we saw the past 6 months ago. And this is where things are going to get scary, because Steam OS is in fact a true operating system in Linux, which the government is trying to force Real ID on. And with that OS comes a Steam machine, comes your Steam Deck, comes every way of operating your PC anonymously that the government does not need to get involved in any way whatsoever. And neither do payment processors, and neither do any other place that thinks that they know how to judge you as an actual functioning human adult. And don't use the whole "this is to protect the kids" thing, because clearly kids don't have the right age to do it in the first place. So really, if the kid knows they're not old enough, whose idea they're going to use? Yours. They're not protecting kids, they're tracking you. That's the whole reason why they want your ID and not your kid's ID, dummy. It really does feel like Valve and Steam truly is the last bastion standing in the way of requiring Real ID across the entire board. Apple fell to them, Microsoft fell, Discord, Reddit, and Linux are falling. So many others are going around and just acquiescing to this entire request. And it really does make your head scratch about why these tech companies would in fact do this. Clearly, in my opinion, it's because they seek to benefit from it, either by selling data or obtaining that information overall as leverage against you to comply with the government, or even worse. Hopefully, Valve does the right thing and continues on this path of doing nothing and winning, because if the second Valve falls and they fold, it's not going to be good. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys got to say about this in the comment section down below. Do you think Valve will hold strong, do nothing, and keep winning? Or do you think at some point they may in fact bend the knee and acquiesce to Real ID? I want to hear what you guys got to say about this in the comment section down below. And speaking of what you guys got to say, here in fact is the comment of the day from yesterday's video. With Escanor Flex 7201 saying this: the industry has become a disgusting shadow of itself, and to be honest, the more I hear is the further away I get. Escanor, you and me both, brother. You and me both. The second I got my Steam Deck, the first thing I did was add every single emulator and started playing old games again and clearing out my backlog. This industry truly is an incredibly terrifying space right now, but hopefully things come out better on the other side. But as always, if you want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and even live streams, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 110K. If you want Discord access or emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. Look, if you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel as I wear a banana suit and get insulted by about 800 people with TTS. I get called bald and all kinds of things. Trust me, it's a hell of a show. You don't want to miss it. Saturday nights, live, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!